Hello friends, and welcome back to Scaling Stories. Today, I've got some more highly upvoted posts from Best of Redditor updates. Like always, I'll be reading you the posts and giving you my opinions, and I also hope you do the same in the comments down below. Also, I'm currently only in Spotify's creator program, so watching on there would help me out a ton. Thank you so much for your support. Today's first story comes from the Relationship Advice subreddit. It was posted by ThrowRAnotgay on July 21st, 2020, and was titled, How Do I, 19 male, tell my friends, 19 female, X4, that I'm not gay? I didn't have many friends when I was 14, but I did used to watch a group of 4 girls at school because I thought they were all very pretty. I basically had a crush on them as a group. I decided to talk to them one day, and I wanted to keep hanging out with them, so I told them that I was gay because I didn't want them to think I was a weirdo who was creeping on them. Flash forward 5 years, and they're still my closest friends and still completely under the impression that I'm gay. Granted, I haven't done anything to perpetrate that thought since I was 15. I've honestly been wanting to tell them I'm straight since around 15, when I realized we were becoming really close friends. But I was scared of their reaction, and with every year that passed, I assumed their reaction would be worse. Now I've been seeing a girl for a few months, and I want to introduce her to my friends, but my friends think I'm gay. How do I tell them that I'm not gay? I'm really worried about their reaction. They're a massive part of my life, and I don't want to lose them. Scaling Stories Corner. So, I think in this situation, you just have to up and tell them that you're not gay if you're OP. It is pretty messed up to have lied to them in the first place in order to be their friend. I think there's a dynamic where girls and gay guys, where the girls feel safer around gay guys because they know the guys aren't around them for their bodies or romantic interests. OP says he had a crush on all 4 of the girls and didn't want to get sussed out as a weirdo for hanging out with them. And unfortunately, I think they might have not been friends with him if not for the gay lie. Having said that though, OP was a teenager when he made that lie, and he has since made 5 years of good memories where I'm assuming he's not made a single move on any of the girls where they thought he was someone safe to be around. So he needs to be upfront and honest and come out to his friends about his lie and hope that the 5 years of good experiences can outweigh the weight of having said that lie in the first place. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, I feel like you have 2 options. 1. Come clean that you technically lied years ago and never corrected it, and apologize for doing so. If I was your friend in this situation, I would find this hilarious. Just make it clear that the reason you lied wasn't to be creepy or anything, you just weren't sure how to tell them. Or 2, tell them you were previously wrong about your sexuality, you're actually straight, and you'd like them to meet your girlfriend. This is closer to being a lie, though not really, and still better than lying about being bisexual. Overall, just assure them you didn't lie to date them or creep on them. You just got caught up. You could even show them this post. Good luck. Commenter 2 says, I mean, they'll probably be creeped out because pretending to be gay to insert yourself into their friend group is a creepy thing to do. Honesty is the best policy, in my opinion, but it will probably damage your friendship. If you tell them you have realized you are bisexual, it will probably preserve your friendship, but you would be lying to them again. In any case, best of luck. Commenter 3 says, Oh, I feel like you're gonna have to tell your girlfriend as well. Commenter 4 says, Definitely. These friends will 100% bring up that they previously thought he was gay. Commenter 5 says, Why is everyone talking about how funny this is instead of the fact that he is actually the creepy weirdo he's worried that they'll think he is? OP, you are/were the person you're worried they think you are. Best come clean and accept the consequences. There is so much wrong here, I don't even know where to begin. OP says, In my defense, I was an awkward 14-year-old, and what actually came of it? We became good friends. While my intention going into it may have been getting closer to the girls I was crushing on, it's not as though I pretended to be gay in order to see them nude or something. From another comment of mine, to clarify, I know what I did was wrong, and I know it was a little creepy. I also take into account, though, that I never undertook any devious actions to benefit from them thinking I was gay, and that you can't truly hold a 14-year-old to the same standard as a 19-year-old. OP adds an edit to his post. I've set up a group FaceTime with them later today. In this, I'll be telling the truth. Here are the dot points of what I plan to say. I approached because I thought you guys were pretty. I enjoyed hanging out and wanted it to continue. I was scared you wouldn't want to hang out if it was obvious I had a crush on you, and so I said I was gay so you wouldn't think that. I didn't tell you because I was scared. I'm sorry for lying and continuing to allow you to believe the lie. I don't want this to change things because you guys are my best friends, and I care deeply about our friendship. I fully understand if this changes things and you feel betrayed and hurt. It's your decision how we progress as friends from here. I won't try to convince you against what you want. If you're still willing to be my friends, I would like to introduce you to a girl I've been seeing because I'd really like to know what you think of her. Update 2 days later. So, it has been a hectic couple of days. Things have been moving very fast for me, but I'm going to recount it for you guys. So, I set up a FaceTime between my friends and me to come clean. I explained everything, why I lied, why it took me so long to tell the truth, etc. Then, I apologized for lying and continuing to lie. We talked about it for probably 2 hours after I finished explaining. There was lots of crying. In the end, they decided they could forgive me, though. So, I've still got my best friends, which is always a plus. We've set up a time for them to meet my girlfriend, and they're very excited to meet her. I'm a little worried that they want to make sure she's good enough for me, but they're probably just being hyperbolic. As for my girlfriend, I explained it all to her afterwards, and she was surprisingly more understanding than my friends. So, I still have my girlfriend, also a huge plus. Anyway, things worked out probably the best that they could. This will likely be something I'm teased about for years to come, but I'm honestly looking forward to it because it means I'm no longer lying. Thanks to everyone for your input, even the ones that I felt were being unfair. It was all helpful in one way or another. Scaling Stories Corner. So, it's nice that OP's friends still decided to continue being friends with him. I definitely could have imagined a future where they felt hurt and betrayed that he made that lie in the first place and decided that he wasn't a good friend to keep around. I mean, a relationship that's built on a lie is pretty freaking bad, even if you have tons of good memories that were built along the way. And OP coming out to his friends undoubtedly changed the relationship dynamics, like drastically, because he said they were talking and crying for over 2 hours. So I think his friends definitely wrestled with the thought about cutting him off and dropping him as a friend, but they ultimately were able to forgive him and give him another chance. So I think they probably demoted him as a best friend, and maybe he's more like a good friend or close friend now. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, I'm impressed with your friends. They actually sound like decent people. Most people we see on Reddit as friends are pieces of crap that barely get by as humans. Your friends were upset but listened, thought, and accepted that you are still the same person. And they are okay with that, for now. Now, on to you. If you never made a move on any of these girls, you are a decent person. If you grew to like them as friends and wanted that to be the paramount point of your relationship, as in not pursuing romance, then, again, you are a decent person. Do not worry about the few incels that are downvoting you. Strive for honesty and strive to better yourself and your friends. By the way, many people here wouldn't know a good friend from a fence post. Commenter 2 says, did you suss out whether any of your friends would have liked you romantically if you weren't gay? Were they upset at first because of how you approached them at first, or that you didn't trust them to understand? It's kind of funny that they never tried to fix you up with guys. Was there any question about whether they suspected this? OP says, didn't ask anything about whether they would have been interested in me because, honestly, I don't want to know. They were upset at first. They thought it was weird that I didn't trust them to understand and that I didn't trust them to be able to have a straight dude friend in the first place. They didn't suspect this because they took me at my word. They never tried to set me up with a guy because they knew it wasn't their place. Commenter 3 says, something I haven't seen in these comments or in the original post. Pretending to be a gay person for 5 years likely involved a metric F-ton of employed stereotypes and cliches. Maybe work on that as well, will ya? Also, just out of curiosity, how did you manage to make only this group of 4 friends believe you were gay without it being slipped to a larger circle? Or do you have some more coming-ins to look forward to? OP says, nah, no stereotypes needed. I just said I was gay, and they took me at my word. I don't really have that many friends, so I might have a few more people I'll need to explain to, but not many. Commenter 4 says, why was there crying? OP says, because it was a very emotional conversation. Commenter 4 says, I should be more specific. I get that it was confronting for you and therefore emotional, but if they cried, why was the topic of you setting things straight emotional for them? Was it somehow integral for one or more of them that you were gay? Was it just that that's how they understood you? You said they gave you space, so they never tried setting you up or anything. So it sounds like your friendship didn't hinge on you being the gay friend. OP says, the conversation wasn't just about me coming clean. We talked a lot about our friendship in general too. So, the actual admission and apology didn't involve much crying. I got a little watery-eyed, but the subsequent conversation about our friendship got them crying, which got me crying because I was already good to go. Okay, friends, so that concludes our first story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the True Off My Chest subreddit. It was posted by ThrowRA641118862 on October 9th, 2022, and was titled, "My husband lied about being deathly allergic to a certain food." When I met my husband and we started dating, he told me that he was deathly allergic to a certain food. We avoided certain restaurants on dates. He was always careful about what he ordered when we ate out, and the first time I cooked for him, I purged that food from my apartment and basically sterilized my kitchen. He showed me his EpiPen and explained how to use it. When we moved in together, we made sure there was one in the house and one in the car, and I always had one in my purse. My family knows, and they avoid using that food at family events, and my husband is still extra careful about what he eats. Last weekend, for my brother's birthday, my sister-in-law made dinner. One of my nephews has an allergy, though different from my husband's, and my sister-in-law is very diligent about keeping him and my husband safe. She gave us 2 Tupperware dishes of leftovers, and the one for my husband had a different colored lid. When my husband ate the wrong leftovers, both my sister-in-law and I panicked. My husband said even having his food prepared with utensils that touched the food he's allergic to would be enough to give him a deadly reaction. He told me stories of it happening as a kid, but he ate the wrong dish of leftovers, and nothing happened. He's confessed to me and my family that he was never allergic. He just doesn't like that particular food, and when he went to university, he started saying he was allergic because that was better than looking like a picky eater. His mom died before I met him. His parents were divorced, and until he was an adult, he didn't see his dad much because his dad lived in another province. So his dad, his friends, and even his own family thought he was allergic. The panic I felt when I thought he ate something that would kill him is something I could never describe. My sister-in-law thought she did kill him. I can't believe he's been lying since the day I met him. I just need to get how furious I am at him right now off my chest. Scaling Stories Corner. So like I said in the previous story, which by the way, it's a complete coincidence that both of these stories have lying as a theme. A relationship built on a lie is really freaking bad. And the fact that OP's husband has kept up this lie for God knows how long is really freaking bad. OP doesn't say how long they've been together, but I'm going to assume that it has been at least several years of this lie being told. I think that's pretty messed up to do, not only because it was being dishonest to OP, his life partner, but OP completely changed aspects of her life to accommodate her lying husband. Let's say the allergy he was allergic to was nuts, and let's say OP previously liked eating nuts, or just occasionally liked eating nuts. OP completely purged nuts from her household and refused to eat or order any food with nuts in it so she didn't accidentally kill her husband. When in reality, she could have been eating nuts just fine and her husband could have just refused to eat things with nuts while living with her. That is completely messed up to do to someone. And like I said in the other post, it's now up to OP to decide if the good experiences and memories she's had with her husband thus far outweigh her husband lying to her and letting her rearrange her life based on this lie. For what it's worth, I think he's just stupid, and this is definitely bad, but maybe not divorce-worthy because it was technically harmless. It's in a different level of category of lying compared to the first story we went over, whereas like if you're lying if you're gay or straight, it's different from if you can eat a food or not. OP's husband definitely needs to make it up to OP somehow. Maybe like treating her with 120% awesomeness and doing stuff that OP would normally find tedious for a while. Because he also made his sister-in-law and OP think that he was literally going to die. That part is actually giga messed up. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "This is far worse than a lie. He went so far as to get EpiPens. That's some serious deception right there. Who does that? If he's willing to go that far to lie about something he hates eating, What other lies is he telling, and to what extreme would he go with those lies? I would never trust him again. Commenter 2 says, this whole thing sounds like a simple lie that a person told when they were younger, which spiraled out of control, and he didn't know how to get out of it without admitting the truth to all of his friends. Sometimes, it's so hard to admit the fact that you lied that you will continue with the lie beyond the point where it was useful. From what the OP said, the husband only made this up in college to avoid being labeled as a picky eater. My bet is that his friends started making adjustments based on his allergy, and he had to keep up appearances. What if someone asked about what to do if he goes into shock? Looks like he has to find an EpiPen somewhere. What if his friends meet his family and they spill the beans? Looks like he has to bring his family into the lie too. Stuff like that is easy to get into and really hard to get out of. It's the main reason why I don't lie. That and the fact that it would be pretty hard to remember all of the lies. Commenter 3 says, seriously, all these people going on about what a master of deception he is, or what a huge red flag that is, sound like they haven't been in a situation like this before. To me, all it looks like is a person who's in too deep. That's it. There are no more layers to it. What a sad thing to have your pitchforks sharpened about. Update 3 years, 9 months later. To be truthful, I completely forgot I had posted here. I tried signing up so I could post about my situation, and I was notified that my email address was already associated with an account here. I don't remember writing my other post. I was so upset back then, though. The long and the short of it is that we are in marriage counseling. Yes, and I'm not trying to sound dramatic. When the situation with the leftovers happened, my husband apologized to me for making me panic and for his lying. He admitted to being a picky eater, and while a lot of people were upset with him, I thought that was the end of it. I tried to let it go, even though it bothered me how he went so far as to carry an EpiPen for an allergy he doesn't have. But this wasn't the only lie, and I've been floundering. He lied about receiving a scholarship for university for athletics and then losing it because he got injured. He was never recruited for a sport. He applied to university the regular way and took student loans like most people do. He lied about spending a season working in Antarctica before we met. He's never even been there. He lied about restoring an old automobile. He bought it fully restored, but when he goes to car shows, he says he did it all himself. There are a million other things, and it's basically been a bomb in our relationship. I know, and have proof, that there are things he didn't lie about. His mom died from cancer before we met. His dad lives in another province and wasn't involved in his life. He has a law degree, and he works as a lawyer. My husband's excuse is that he lies so he can feel better about himself, and that's why he doesn't lie about big things, like his dad not being involved in his life growing up. For about a year and a half after the leftovers situation, things were normal, even if people couldn't understand why he lied about an allergy. Then more lies came out. I haven't left because we have a 5-year-old. We are in counseling because we are both children of divorce, and I don't want that for my son. My family and friends say I should leave, but I'm trying to work on my marriage for my son's sake. I'm floundering. That's basically what's going on and where I'm at right now. ScalingStories Corner. Well, I kind of want to say hell nah. Like, if I was OP, I would divorce this guy without a second thought. Because what do you mean you lied about all the other crap? This wasn't just an isolated food incident lie that maybe we could get over, but there were numerous lies from all parts of his life. And that would make me think that the person I knew and understood was a complete lie. And it pretty much was a complete lie. The history of the person I thought I knew was false. But on the other hand, and I say this second-hand option very sparingly, if he was honest about coming out to his wife about all these other lies, and he was the one who brought it up, and it's actually very true that there are no more other lies, like certainly no big ginormous life lies, then maybe they can work and rebuild this relationship. But personally, I don't think I would be able to work through that. OP says she doesn't want that for her son, but you also don't want your son to grow up thinking casually lying is a normal and good trait to have. Her husband probably already made small, white, innocent lies to his son already, and maybe it's already like a game to him that his dad does this. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "Your husband is one of the worst kinds of people to have around. Nothing is worse than a liar. That's what he is. He is a liar. He always has been, and he always will be. He has been doing it so long that he doesn't know how to quit. You are the one doing the work, not him. I don't see how you can trust or believe him." Commenter 2 says, "You are getting really good advice here. I hope you come back and read through it. Ignore the mean comments. It can be really easy to just be rude and lack empathy, but listen to the lived experience comments, the protective comments. I suspect that you are currently putting off the inevitable right now. Whether you leave him now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, or 30 years from now, I suspect you will leave him. Liars like that don't stop. It works for him. People forgive him. You can, at this point, start over. Find someone who respects you, someone who will teach your child what a good man looks like. Or just go off on your own and live a life that feels peaceful and solid. You deserve that. Your kid deserves that. I wish you the best of luck." Commenter 3 says, "What happened to the nephew who also got his food switched?" OP says, "My nephew never had his food switched. My sister-in-law gave us 2 containers of leftovers to take home, and my husband ate mine instead of his own." Okay, friends, so that concludes our second story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the relationships subreddit. It was posted by ThrowRAnotgay on April 10th, 2016, and was titled, "My 28 female boyfriend, 27 male, of 3 years refused to pull over while he was driving, pissed himself, and then kinda blamed me for it. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 3 years. We were driving in the back roads for an hour, and near the beginning of our journey, he said he needed to piss. I asked him at least 4 or 5 times if he wanted to pull over, since he was driving, and he refused. When we were almost home, with the gas station in sight, he said he couldn't make it any longer and pissed his pants. It was a very awkward ride home the rest of the way, 10 minutes. I didn't mention it and helped him clean it up while he showered and put on some fresh shorts. He then tried to leave my house to return to his own house after he got out. I asked why, and he said that it was because of him peeing himself, and it happened because I was mad at him over something he had said before we left from our destination. What he said wasn't relevant to this. Prior to us getting into the car, I had told him I didn't want to talk about the issue for an hour and just wanted to cool down a bit before we discussed it, as I need some time to process things. I wasn't overly chatty during the car ride home, but I wasn't giving him the cold shoulder or anything. He said he just wanted to get home to discuss it. Totally against his character. He is completely against confrontation, and that he didn't want to pull over so he could get out of the car quicker. I didn't really understand his explanation, but I haven't pushed. Reddit. I've had a hard time dealing with this. On one hand, I know that bodily functions sometimes cannot be controlled, but he was in full control of the car and himself and refused to pull over. Then, he kinda shifted the blame to me. I've had a hard time looking at him the same way. I mean, he is a grown man. Why is he pissing himself? I feel terrible for feeling this way, but he never acted embarrassed or anything, just kinda got defensive. I asked him if this has ever happened before, and he insisted that it hasn't. Am I overreacting to what happened? I feel like I might be. ScalingStories Corner. Nah, OP is not overreacting. That's really weird and also a red flag. OP asked him multiple times to just pull over and take a piss if he needed to take a piss, because this man literally said he needed to take a piss at the start of the car ride. He intentionally held it in, and like a complete baby, he pissed himself when he could no longer hold it in. Then he has the audacity as a grown-ass man to blame OP for pissing himself when he was literally in control of the entire situation at every possible second. The lack of accountability is such a turnoff to me. It's kinda unbelievable that this is a 27-year-old man. I don't think I would want to keep dating this person, personally, because of how ridiculous this blame shifting is. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "No, you aren't overreacting. He pissed himself instead of pulling over for a minute. He was fully in control of his body and his car the entire time. His actions are a result of his own decisions and have nothing to do with you. I'd have trouble respecting him ever again after hearing him blame me for his decision to piss his pants. It's like a toddler yelling, 'Look what you made me do.'" OP says, him acting like a toddler is what it kinda felt like. I was like, "Why did you do that?" And he was like, "'Cause you were mad at me." I was so confused because I don't see how the two correlate. I'm having a really hard time feeling sexually attracted to him since then, and I'm not sure whether that's normal or why I feel this way. It's like he tries to initiate and I cannot get turned on at all. Commenter 2 says, "Maybe because it would be hard to be attracted to someone who behaves like a 3-year-old. Commenter 3 says, Wow. I mean, he was probably embarrassed and became defensive to cover up his shame. But still, he could have pulled over at any time. He has nobody to blame but himself for pissing his pants. He's acting like a toddler, and it would be smart to look back and see if this kind of behavior is a pattern. Blaming you for his own mistakes is a crappy thing to do. OP says, he does have a tendency to blame everyone else for his problems or mistakes. Nothing is ever his fault. Update 19 days later. I deleted the original post because I was afraid he was going to see it, but in case it is still visible, OP links the original post. If you can't see the original post, try Googling the title. That thread blew up way more than I thought it would. I had originally posted it over 6 months ago when the incident originally happened and didn't get any response, so I truly thought I was underreacting and kind of swallowed my concerns. But over time, they kept creeping up, and I started noticing more and more that everything was my fault in his life, so I decided to repost it. This post really affirmed what I knew but didn't want to accept, for whatever reason, that the relationship had to end. The thread made me think a lot about my life and what our life together would look like. All I could think about was this: his pissing himself, happening again in the future. I thought about us having children and how he would deal with them. I thought about having to make tough decisions with him. I thought about making tough financial decisions. I thought about having to go through tough life events, like losing a parent. I realized that I would always be blamed for things that went wrong, even though they were not my fault or in my control, and that he wasn't someone I could truly rely on for support. It just took him literally and purposely losing control of his own bladder for me to see this. I broke up with him a few days after the original post. I told him I wasn't happy with the relationship anymore and that I wanted out. He didn't really fight or ask why, so it was a surprisingly easy breakup. He has had other issues in his life and refuses, in general, the idea of therapy, so I didn't even suggest it for whatever issues he has going on when I ended it. Not really my problem or concern anymore. Despite having been together for 3 years, I was surprised by how relieved I felt when I let it go. Pun totally intended. I think I mourned the relationship for a day or two, and I've been totally fine since. I've been hitting the gym almost every day at lunch and have had plans every night with friends or family. I generally am a social person, so I really haven't let the loss of this relationship get me down. I guess, if anything, this whole thing has really opened my eyes to trusting my gut and my instincts. I knew his pissing himself was effed up, and I knew and felt like he was blaming me. I should have trusted my gut and ended it right then and there, when he truly showed me who he was. ScalingStories Corner. I'm glad OP ended up breaking up with this dude because of his lack of accountability for a lot of things that was happening in their relationship. Like how OP said he would blame everything and anything except himself, and how nothing was ever his fault. That is such a bad trait to have in a partner, and I'm kind of sad for her that she stayed with him for a while longer before she decided to call it quits on the relationship. And it's more so how OP decided to post about this 6 months ago, but didn't get any response to her thread. So she stayed with him in that relationship for another 6 months until she posted it again. And then this time it got responses to her situation. And because of the feedback from other people, she decided to finally let go of the relationship. But ultimately, I'm glad that she can use this as a learning opportunity to put her foot down in the future if something like this happens again. And she can trust her gut and call it quits without needing outside validation. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "God bless you for updating. You made the right call here, and I'm sure you have better things ahead." OP says, "I wasn't even going to update until I saw another thread update last night that I was super concerned about and wondered what ended up happening. Then I was like, maybe people want to know what happened to the girl whose boyfriend pissed himself. Haha." Commenter 2 says, "Great job, OP. And I feel reasonably confident saying that this will never happen to you again." OP says, "I can say with the utmost certainty that if a man ever pisses his pants again in a car with me in it, I am tuckling and rolling out of that moving vehicle. Or in any other circumstance, I will definitely, figuratively, and literally run away." Commenter 3 says, "Ha, that made me laugh. I think you should be open to others about this if you haven't been already. Family, friends, new boyfriends when you get there. It's such a WTF scenario that it makes a great dinner story." OP says, "I've only told my mother and best friend. We have a lot of mutual friends, so I don't really want to go around spreading this. As good a conversation/dinner story as it would be, I'm not really malicious. I will definitely bring it up to future boyfriends, though. Okay friends, so that concludes today's video. Leave a like and comment down below to let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.